Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Learn with Arjun with another new video. Today's video is based upon a poem written by W.H. Auden. So, the name of the poem is Night Mail. A poem which is really marvelous in its tone, in its theme, in its characteristics, in its uses of words, imagery, and other stuff. So, before going to the poem, we must know about who is W.H. Auden. So, W.H. Auden was an English American poet, playwright, and essayist who lived from 1907 to 1973. He is considered one of the most influential and important poets of 20th century, and his work reflects a wide range of interest and themes including politics, religion, love, and the human condition. Auden was born in York, England, and attended Oxford University, where he became associated with a group of poets known as the Oxford Group of the Auden Circle. In the 1930s, he became involved in the left wing politics and was an active supporter of the Spanish Republic during the Spanish Civil War. Auden's early poetry is known for its intellectual and formal complexity, but he later moved towards a simpler and more accessible style. His most famous works include Funeral Blues, The Unknown Citizen, and September 1, 1939, which was written in response to the outbreak of World War. The poem Night Mail is really rich in its use of figure of speeches. Before entering to the main poem, the film concerned a London Midland and Scottish Railway mail train travelling from London to Scotland. The poem analysed the impact of a night train carrying the mail through the Scottish countryside. It carries letters from every part of the world on every topic, up a hill and through the grasses. In the poem, we will get that the time when it was written, actually the only way of getting touch with our dear one or the beloved or our relatives is the night mail. It not only delivers checks, but at the same time it delivers letters. At the same time it delivers the confession of lovers, news, and other stuff, which you will get while studying the poem. The poet has used just to express that particular situation, just to express that particular phase, the poet has used several figure of speech in this particular poem. The figure of speech used in this poem are personification, anaphora, simile, and alliteration. As you all know, personification is a figure of speech in which human attributes are added to non-living things. So here in this poem, as I have already told you, that the poem is compared with a lady who is always in time, who is punctual, and she is never late. The example, the lines which shows personification are the gradients against her, but she is on time. Number one, and number two, snorting noisily as she pursues. The second figure of speech is anaphora. It refers to the repetition of words. Remember that particular thing. It is the repetition of words or phrases in a group of sentences, clauses, or poetic line. So, when a word or a phrase is repeated or is used in a repeated manner, then we can say that this is a fine example of anaphora. Example: letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from girl and boy, letters with holiday snaps to enlarge in, letters with faces scrawled on the margin. So here the word letters is used several times in a repeated manner, so we can say this is a fine example of anaphora. The next figure of speech used in this particular poem is simile. A simile, as I have already told you, if there is like, the linker like and as, so then you can just blindly say that this is a particular example of simile. For example, here we have the furnaces set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. So here this particular word the like is shows that it is a fine example of simile. The next figure of speech is alliteration, and here don't get confused between alliteration and anaphora. Anaphora is repetition of word, but speech is alliteration. So it is a figure of speech in which some consonants are repeated twice or more than 2 times. So the next example of figure of speech is alliteration. So alliteration is a figure of speech in which same consonant are repeated twice or more than twice. Birds turn their heads as she approaches. Here the consonant sound T used twice in this particular line. That's how you can say it's a fine example of alliteration. The next example is towards the fields of apparatus, the furnishes. So towards the and again the, so 3T. No, here we have 3T, so we can say that it is a fine example of alliteration. So let us go to the poem Night Mail by W.H. Auden. So text. So here I am starting the poem Night Mail by W.H. Auden. This is the night mail crossing the border, bringing the check and the postal order. So a mail train crosses the border. The border is not specified in the poem, but it is likely that it refers to the border between England and Scotland, since the train is travelling from London to Scotland. Doing what? Bringing the check and the postal order. It brings letters for everyone. A postal order is a type of money order usually intended for sending money through the mail. Letters for the rich and letters for the poor. Letters for the rich and letters for the poor. The shop at the corner, the girl next door. So here in these two particular lines, we can see one thing, that the letters are for people from all walks of life, both the rich and the poor. So here the train, here see, it doesn't discriminate between classes and between business and individuals. So it has letters for the shop at the corner and the girl next door. So as I told you, it doesn't discriminate between business and. Pulling up Betok, a steady climb, the gradients against her, but she is on time. So here, pulling up Betok, a steady climb means the train is climbing up Betok. Betok is a village located in Scotland. The next line, the gradients against her, but she is on time, which means here the poet wants to convey that, and the slope is against her, but it is still on time. So that clearly shows that there are several obstacles for the train for her, but she is still on time. Post Past cotton grass and moorland boulder, swirling white steam over her shoulder, snorting noisily as she passes, silent miles of wind, bent grasses. So I have read these 4 lines, and here is the explanation of this 4 line. The train passes through a landscape of cotton grass plants and moorland with boulders, an extensive area of moor, which is a type of habitat found in upland areas in temperate grasslands. Swirling white stream over her shoulder, the train is personified. It is referred to as she, who swivels aside a white stream over her shoulder as she moves forward through the darkness of night. Snorting noisily as she passes, the sound of the train is heard as it passes. So the sound of the train is heard. So see, actually the sound of the train is heard as it passes. Silent miles of wind bend grasses, through miles of wind bend grasses, birds turn their heads as she approaches. So the time when she comes actually, or the train comes, the birds from their nests, they turn their heads and to look at her. Stare from bushes at her blank faced coaches. So they all stare from bushes as they all stare at her. The coaches of the train have blank faces. So as it is a train, as it's a mail train, so only letters, checks, postal orders are there, and no passengers were there in the train. Sheepdogs cannot turn her course. So sheepdogs means the dogs which are hired or which are appointed or which are there actually to protect the sheep from the wild animals. So the sheepdogs cannot turn her course. means the sheepdogs cannot change the direction of the mail train. They slumber on with paws across. They sleep with their paws across as the train sharply passes by. Which means that as they knew it very well that the train you know, doesn't uh, hurt them, or the train doesn't hamper their course, or the train never disturbed them. So that's why the dogs never tried to turn her course. In the farm she passes, no one wakes. She passes by a farm without waking anyone up. People are aware of the arrival of the train at night, but they are not worried or amazed by the sound. It is a part of their life. But jug in a bedroom gently shakes. However, a jug in a bedroom shakes gently when the train passes. Uh, this is something that if you guys have any type of practical knowledge, like if you have houses near railway stations, then you might get it very well, that that when the train passes, it actually gently shakes the things that we have in our houses. So here it is an example given from practical life, that however a jug in a bedroom shakes gently when the train passes. As everyone in the house is sleeping, or the people are actually sleeping, so they do not give any kind of importance to the train, as they knew that it is the time of the train to it is the time of arrival of the train, and it will pass them without disturbing them. The next lines that tells us, dawn freshens, her climb is done, down towards Glasgow citizens. So finally it is early morning and her uphill journey is over. So as we came to know that the night mail, the name of the train suggests, the title of the poem itself suggests that the train actually goes at night, and now dawn freshens, her climb is done means finally it is early morning and her uphill journey is over, and down towards Glasgow she descends. Now she starts her journey downhill towards Glasgow, another city in Scotland. Remember the last the last lines that I taught you, there actually the lines were written giving a picture of village, giving picture of fields, sheepdogs, and the natural aspects. But when the train descends to Glasgow, it descends into industrialization, industrial sites and factories, and also furnaces that we will get here. Really, that we are going to get here, within just few lines. Towards the steam tugs yelping down a glade of cranes, towards the fields of apparatus, the furnaces. The steam tugs are boats that are used to tow other boats or ships. Towards the fields of apparatus, the furnaces. The fields of apparatus refer to factories and other industrial sites. The furnaces refers to the places where things are burned or heated up. As you can get these examples in your science books, the furnaces, and apparatus, which means that the factories or the industrial sites. The next line, set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen, all Scotland waits for her. Set on the dark plain like gigantic. So for this particular line, we must read the line written above. Towards the field of apparatus, the furnaces, set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. So here the fields of apparatus refer to the factories and the other industrial sites. Then these industrial sites look like giant chess piece on a dark plain. So as you can see that the previous images which are given, like the images of moorland, the images of field, birds, sheep, and other stuff that you can get in the villages. But here in Glasgow we are getting the sites of industrial sites, like the sites of industry, factories, buildings, and also furniture. Set on the dark plain like gigantic chessmen. So here in the just to explain this particular line, I must give example of a chessboard in which you can see that the king, queen, and other that we have, they are actually placed in their own places, and we can't shift them to any, actually exchange anyone's place with the other one. So here too, the dark plane in which the the industrial sites, the factories are actually set in that manner. All Scotland waits for her. So everyone in Scotland is waiting for the mails, waiting for the letters which they are going to get from their dear one. In dark lanes, besides pale green logs, men long for news, letter of thanks, letter from banks. Okay, so just let me give you the explanation of this line. In dark lanes, besides pale green logs, men long for news. So in narrow valleys and beside pale green lakes, the remote areas. So in the narrow valleys and the pale green lakes, which are actually the remote areas where the mode of communication is zero, so they too wait for the train. The people are waiting for the mail. The people are also waiting for the letters, bank checks, and other things. Letters of thanks, letters from banks, letters of joy from girl and boy, receipted bills and invitations to inspect new stock or to visit relation, an application for situation and timid lovers declaration, and gossip from all the nation, news circumstantial, news financial, letters with holidays, snaps to enlarge in, letters with faces scrawl on the margin, letters from uncles, cousins and aunts, letters to Scotland from the south of France, letters of condolence to Highland and Lowland, written on paper of every hue. The pink, the violet, the white and the blue, the chatty, the catty, the boring, the adoring, the cold and official and the hearts outpouring, clever, stupid, short and long, they typed and the printed and the spelled all wrong. So here a large these lines I have read just to make you give information about that. These are the information which is given by the poet W.H. Auden, that the various types of letter, their subject, topic, okay, and how these letters are composed and to whom these letters are actually meant. So letters of thanks, letters from banks. There are different types of letters to bank, from bank or to thank someone. Letters that inform something happy from a girl or a boy. So letters of joy. So letters that informs us about some sort of happiness, or a letter from girl to a boy or boy to a girl. Receipted bills and invitation. There are receipts and bills and letters of invitation also. Invitation sent by the relatives. To inspect new stock or to visit relations, to check out new goods that have arrived or to visit relatives, and applications for situation, job application sent through mail. So an application for situation means the job application sent by the job seekers are also there. And timid lover declaration, letters written by timid lovers. Timid lover means the lover having no courage to speak in in front of their beloved, so or the person whom they love. So what they do actually, uh, they express their feelings through a letter. So their confession through a letter. And gossip from all the nations, and that is news about all the world. News circumstantial, news financial. Some are news of a particular situation and some are financial news that is mentioned in the letters. Letters with holiday, snaps to enlarge in. Some letters contain photograph that can be enlarged. So not only the letters written only, but the letters of the letters also contain pictures, photographs. Letters with faces scrawled on the margin. Here it means some letters have faces drawn on the margins. So artistic people writing some letter to they will just try to impress, or they will just try to show their art craft, and so they will draw the faces on the margins. Letters from uncles, cousins, and aunts. So letters arrive from uncles, cousins, and aunts. Letters to Scotland from the south of France. So letters come to Scotland from the south of France. Letters of condolence of letters of condolence to Highlands and Lowlands. So this means letters are being sent to people in Scotland who have lost loved ones. So basically, the meaning of the word condolence, giving consolation to the to the people who have lost their dear ones. Written on paper of every hue. Letters are written in different colored papers. It is not only written on black sheet or it is not in white sheet, but the actually whoever is sending the letters, they have used different colors of paper. The colors are mentioned here, like some are pink, some are violet or white or blue. The chatty, the catty, the boring and the adoring. So here some letters are like long chats, some are spiteful, some letters are boring and some show great devotion. So the chatty means the letters actually which have long descriptions. the catty, the catty one, and the boring one. The boring one means having, some letters are boring in sense like having long narration, long description of the in the of particular dull topic, and some are adoring, which means that some letters shows great devotion. The cold and official and the hearts outpouring. Some letters are cold or official or formal, we can say, and some say everything the hearts feel. So here this particular line, if you really want to uh, go inside the lines or go inside the meaning, so we can develop a different meaning like the cold and officials and the hearts outpouring. So here two type of letters are mentioned. One is the cold or the official one, in which we must, in which we must write to the point, and the other type of letter in which we are getting outpouring, means in which the writer has written everything. The writer has, actually has the writer has written everything, every sort of details in uh, the letter. Clever, stupid, short and long. Some letters are clever, some are stupid, some are short, others are lengthy, as it is, the type of letters, as I told you, the here the types of letters are mentioned. The typed and printed and the spelled all wrong. Some are typed, some are typed, some are printed, some are handwritten, and with spelling errors. So the whether it is a typed one or printed one or handwritten, the author is telling us that there are several spelling errors in the letters. So in the very next in the very next line we can see that the poet W.H. Auden has given a picture in which, as we have already seen, that it's a morning time, but still thousands are asleep. Many people are still asleep, dreaming of terrifying monsters, and they are in their dreams they are dreaming of terrible monsters or of friendly tea besides the band in Creston or Crawford. So two names are mentioned here. Let me tell you about that. There the few are dreaming about monsters and or dreaming of having a cup of tea with friends while listening to a band playing either Creston's or Crawford's. So normally Creston is the name of place, and it's a tea shop, we can. Asleep in working Glasgow, asleep in Wales at Edinburgh, asleep in Granite Aberdeen. So here in this particular line, so we can see that some people are asleep in Glasgow and some are in Edinburgh, or some are sleeping in Aberdeen. Aberdeen is a city which is famous for its granite, and it is also called the Granite City because you can see that famous for its locally quarried granite stone, which was used to build many of Aberdeen's most famous buildings, such as London's House of Parliament. Though they continue their dreams, they keep dreaming in their sleep. So they means the people of Glasgow, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, so okay, they keep dreaming in their sleep, but shall wake soon and hope for later. But they will wake up soon and hope that news and letters will reach them, and none will hear the postman's knock without a quickening of the heart. The line is quite tricky one. Like none will hear the postman's knock means, and when they hear the postman's knocking at the door, they'll be excited in anticipation. So it is not like you shouldn't read like that they will not hear the postman's knock and the train will leave and they will not get their letters. Instead of this, we should read it in that manner, like that whenever they will hear the postman knocking at their door, and they will be excited. They will be excited in anticipation. For who can bear to feel himself forgotten? As nobody wants to feel forgotten by their loved ones, as they don't want to get it, as the for who can bear to feel himself forgotten. The last line of this particular poem, tells us the feeling that they are getting the letters from their dear one, beloved one, and they don't want to miss this opportunity. They don't want the letters go back to the sender. That's why the line is written, for who can bear feel himself forgotten, as nobody wants to feel